Hi, and welcome to another presentation from your business tutor. Learning your way, anytime, anywhere. Having the right amount of inventory in stock when required is vital to business success. This is why organisations spend considerable amounts of time ensuring they set their inventory levels accurately. So with that in mind, let's introduce today's presentation topic, inventory management. Okay, so what are we going to learn in this presentation? Well, first of all, we're going to find out what an inventory management control system is, and then we're going to investigate the importance of managing inventory effectively. Before beginning and to help with understanding, it is probably best to clarify that inventory and stock are interchangeable terms and will be used to mean the same thing throughout this series of presentations. Moreover, when referring to inventory or stock, it is also worth noting that all the following items, raw materials, partly finished goods and completed products all fall under the banner of inventory, as each can be held and stored by a business. Okay, let's now turn to our first question and ask, what is an inventory management control system? An inventory management control system is used to effectively administer stock levels within a business. In other words, it is used to make sure a business always has the right level of inventory in stock when required. This is so important because there are a large number of costs associated with either holding too much or not enough stock. Given this, businesses will set up inventory control systems to determine appropriate stock levels for each item they hold. Let's look at the features of such a system by first asking, what is a maximum or economic inventory level? The maximum inventory level describes the high point or the most an organisation should hold of an item of stock. For example, in the case of product A, as the diagram shows, the maximum inventory level has been set at 85 items, meaning the business should never hold more than that amount. However, as useful as this is to know, it does not explain why the maximum inventory level was set at that point. As such, to work that out, it is important to explore the factors that influence the level set. For example, if a product is popular or in high demand, the maximum inventory level will be set at a high point. Whereas if the product is perishable or is expected to go out of fashion shortly, the maximum will be set at a lower point so that overstocking does not occur. However, as important as the factors discussed so far are, a business also needs to look at how much storage space it has and how much storage costs. In that, if storage space is limited and expensive, a business may be forced to set the maximum inventory level at a lower point than if the opposite was the case. Okay, let's now move on to look at the next stage in an inventory control system by asking, what is a minimum inventory level? The minimum inventory level determines the least or lowest amount an organisation should hold of an item of stock. For example, as the green line on the diagram shows, for product A, the minimum inventory level has been set at 15, meaning the business should never hold fewer than that amount. However, as before, it is not enough just to know what the level is, but why it was chosen. So to do that, we need to look at the factors that influence the level at which the minimum inventory point is set. For example, if an item is in high demand and very popular, the minimum inventory level should be set at a higher point. However, if a supplier can provide emergency orders within 24 hours, a business will be able to select a lower point for its minimum inventory level, as the risk of understocking will be reduced. In fact, this final point is rather interesting as it will determine the level at which a business sets its buffer inventory, the stock a business has in place to deal with unforeseen emergencies or unexpected increases in demand. As such, in the diagram shown, the buffer inventory is calculated as the difference between the minimum inventory level of 15 and 0. Nevertheless, as important as buffer inventory can be, it is also the case that in normal circumstances a business should never have to use it. This is why it is vital a business set an appropriate reorder inventory level, which we will look at now. The reorder inventory level describes the point at which a business places an order with their supplier. However, to work out at what point that should be set, a business first needs to add in its actual inventory line, which shows at what rate it normally sells stock over a given time period. For example, as the black line on the diagram shows, the business's actual inventory level line initially falls as stock is sold from point A on the maximum inventory line, until it eventually reaches point B on the minimum inventory line. From here, and so the business can keep trading, new stock is delivered, which pushes the inventory level back up to point C on the maximum inventory line, before the cycle begins all over again, as can be seen. However, although this is all straightforward, it still doesn't explain at what point the reorder inventory level should be set. In short, to answer that, we need to look at the term lead time, which describes how long it takes a supplier to deliver inventory once an order has been placed, and which in this case is 5 days. Based on this, a business can then calculate its reorder inventory level by looking at where the actual inventory line hits the minimum boundary at point D, and then working back 5 days to point E, before moving vertically upwards until the actual inventory line is re-met at point F. This, as you have probably worked out, is the lowest level at which stock should be reordered, as any point below that risks items being delivered after a business has dropped below its minimum inventory level. As such, and as the horizontal yellow line indicates, the reorder inventory level for product A should therefore be set no lower than 40 items, but can be set higher if a business feels the lead time their supplier has quoted is a little tight. However, although the lead time is clearly a big influencing factor on the point at which the reorder inventory level is set, it should also be remembered that other issues can also affect it. For example, if the cost of delivery is expensive or bulk buying discounts are available, the reorder inventory level may be set right on the lead time minimum point. However, in the run-up to busier periods such as Christmas, or when weather is likely to slow lead times, a business may select a higher reorder inventory level. Okay, so that now leaves us with our final question, which is what quantity of inventory should be reordered? Ordering the right quantity of inventory is an important decision, because if too much is ordered, a business risks overstocking and going above its maximum limit. But equally, if it doesn't purchase enough inventory, it will end up reordering all the time, which increases administration and delivery costs. As such, when calculating its reorder quantity, a business starts by working out what the difference is between its maximum and reorder inventory levels. For example, for product A, as the diagram shows, the difference is 45 items, calculated as 85 minus 40. However, although this is a good starting point, as even if the business fails to sell any of product A between when an order is placed and it arriving, it won't reach its maximum inventory level. In reality, this is not practical. This is because, in normal circumstances, sales will happen before new stock arrives, meaning placing an order for only 45 items will result in the business having to constantly reorder inventory, which would increase costs. Given this, a business will look at the rate at which it normally sells inventory and its supplier's lead time to determine its reorder quantity. For example, as the diagram shows, based on a lead time of 5 days, a business could select a reorder quantity of 70 items. This is because 5 days after the reorder point A is hit and new inventory arrives, the business would be at its minimum stock level, point B, meaning 70 items would be needed to take it back up to the maximum. However, given the reorder quantity is based on selling stock at a certain rate, and inventory arriving at a specific time, a business may instead use the original reorder quantity figure of 45 as a lower limit and 70 as an upper limit, meaning the order actually placed is somewhere in between. In fact, what this demonstrates is that inventory control is not an exact science, which we will look at further in our final question, which is, why is it important to manage inventory effectively? The diagram shown indicates that inventory control management is fairly straightforward as long as stock sells at a constant rate, as shown by the black actual inventory line. However, in reality, how much and the rate at which inventory sells can be a little less predictable, as can the timing of supplier deliveries. As such, in reality, an inventory control diagram may instead look a little more like the one displayed. Even so, although this is the case, it still doesn't get away from the fact that managing inventory is vital, because as well as the factors we looked at earlier, other issues relating to the cost of holding too much or not enough inventory need to be explored also. For example, as the diagram shows, holding too much inventory above the maximum level, referred to as overstocking, has a number of major costs. First, inventory can go out of date or become obsolete, meaning it can't be sold or has to be severely discounted. But also, storing excessive inventory increases storage and insurance costs, as well as making theft more likely unless security is upgraded. Worse still, holding more inventory than required is a massive drain on a business's financial position, as it ties up cash until it is sold, meaning a business may run into liquidity problems and struggle to pay its bills. However, and on the other hand, if not enough inventory is held and stock levels fall below the minimum point as the diagram shows, which is called understocking, a business will encounter equally significant problems. For example, a lack of inventory can result in a business having to halt production, or equally frustratingly, not having enough products to sell to customers, especially if a sudden surge in demand occurs. Worse still, in an attempt to avoid these problems, a business may be forced into making expensive emergency orders, which, if they become a regular occurrence, will negatively affect profits. Okay, so what did we learn in this presentation? Well, first of all, we found out what an inventory management control system is, and then we went on to investigate the importance of managing inventory effectively. There is no doubt that inventory management and setting appropriate stock levels can result in a number of significant benefits for business. Nevertheless, as is often the case, a business cannot rest on its laurels once a system is in place, as it only takes something as simple as the level of demand for a product to change for understocking or overstocking to occur. This is why inventory systems must be monitored so that changes can be made where necessary to ensure they continue to work effectively.